to be alive in this land of ours. Good to drive in this land of ours.
Hello, Canada hockey fans in the United States.
The Hockey Time Machine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hockey Time Machine. I'm Glenn Dreyfus. Today, we're talking to a VHC VIP. The VHC stands for Vintage Hobby Curator. His name is Bobby Burrell. The flip side of assessing value is, I'm guessing that, like day trading with stocks, that it's a fool's errand in this day and age for somebody to get into this hobby, into this business, for the purpose of thinking that you're going to make a fast buck.
Some people have. You know, if you come in and if you have deep pockets and you can buy in really well and be smart at doing it, sure you can. But for the most part, it's a difficult thing to do. You have to, it really comes with a lot of knowledge. You need to build that up before, especially do something like Todd, to do that job. That's not an easy job. There's no sitting on a computer, I can figure it all out. No. You have to have the field experience, so to speak. So, and same thing with me. I've been everywhere, seen everything, a lot of different shows, and that accumulative knowledge really helps because you get to see this and that. And we're not just talking, I'm talking potato chip bags, I'm talking, you name it. I anything Canadiana, I'm there. Chocolate bar wrappers, I have the huge collection of chocolate bar wrappers going back. I'm a born collector. Like I just can't help myself. I don't even like the Buffalo Sabres, and I get this, like, I'm a fan little trophy from 1978. Like, they're so rare. It's like a $400 or $500 piece because those guys who are dedicated will go for it. But the regular person won't pay that. So, just saying.
All right, here's a biggie, although it didn't last long. In Canada, Imperial Oil, Esso, was big into hockey sponsorships. Tell me about the 1970-71 Power Play stamps.
Todd, are you old enough to remember that?
I am not. I was not around when those came out, but I do know about them.
Sure.
And I do own some of those in my personal collection.
Yes. They are one of my favorite. You know, it's really funny. Out of all the videos you watched, Glenn, this video that I did on Esso, well, most of my videos get 100 to 500 people watching, somewhere in between there. This one got 400 hits. That tells you how popular of a video it was. It was better than any other video. It was just that was a time. It was right at that transitional time. It seemed like 1969, things started to explode. Players, endorsements, promotions. It really just went full. And that was one of the things. I remember walking to school. I had to walk right by the Esso, and I would go in and ask for extra ones. But I remember the day my dad pulled up in a car. Me and my brother were in the back seat, and I'm 6 years old, and he threw a couple booklets back and a couple packets, and we just loved them. And it was good for the parents because it was sort of like stamp collecting, and they understood that. So they promoted that, and they would go to the gas stations on purpose. The Esso made more money on gas that year than ever. They said that was the greatest promotion. So, and I do give a nice little backstory behind that. And that story I took from the Toronto Star, I thought that was just priceless, you know.
But they didn't last into future seasons. How come?
Well, what had happened, I guess the salesmen were kind of pushing the See, everybody was franchised, so you could you could refuse the program. You say, no, I don't want to sell them here. I don't want to have to, because they had to buy everything up front and then they would sell it. But it did them good because they got gas price. So what had happened is the sales from the salesmen pushed them in a certain way that was not too friendly in a sense. They almost forced them, forcible tactics. And what had happened is CBC at that time had there was an investigation about this tactic, and then the CBC found out, and the CBC said, we're not going to allow gasoline sales and children to be combined in that, anything adult products to be associated with children. And that law was passed through the government, through a special I think it was 3 government official, whatever it was. I can't really remember everything offhand, but that's exactly what happened. So they lost their money. They were ready to do the second year, and they already put their money down, and they ended up losing that, and they couldn't go forward because it was a gas product and children were involved. Go figure.
That's really interesting.
It's a great video.
I remember the 1988 ESSO when I was a kid.
Yes.
But yeah, so I still have some of those books around, including I think my original one, which is totally destroyed. But it's full. It's complete.
Well, Todd, I would think that illicit items that have to be pulled off the shelf then become quite rare. Is there a market for items that had to be pulled off because, well, this is either illegal or they didn't cross all the T's or dot the I's?
The easy answer is yes. I think one of the more recent ones that I can think of was the 98. I think it was the 98 Olympics. McDonald's put out the pucks. First year NHL. No, it was 2002. 2002, because Gretzky was in the management on that one. And on the back of it, they had the English and the French, and the French was incorrectly misspelled, so they had to correct the Gretzky puck right away. So if you can get one of those original Gretzky pucks, that one's actually worth a lot more than the ones that got released.
Denoted as a short print.
Yeah, it's super short.
And that makes a super short print. They add the extra onto it, and that means extra money to everybody.
Oh, exactly.
Everybody wants to sell everything.
So yeah, if you bought it day 1, you were probably good, but by day 2, it's like, oh.
But people who are completists want to complete it, so they want the whole set, including that one.
Exactly.
So there's a driving price for that one, just for being Gretzky fan, and then there's driving price for the people who want.
So Gretzky's always going to be worth something because he is one of the best to ever play. But the fact that there is an original version and a corrected version, that also drives up the value of things too.
Yeah,
I thought go ahead.
No, that happens in the history of the hobby.
Absolutely.
Britt Selby 1970 O-Pee-Chee card. People go, well, why is he? Because that's the variation. He came in, unpacked his bags in Toronto, got them right out again. And so they made a card right at that time period, and then they had to change the card. So that one card is probably about $1,000 today. There are just so few of them. It was like stop the presses, and then they just made that correction. And they made a couple other small corrections, and then it just moved on its way. So they would do that. But I'm so very surprised that Britt Selby got that much notoriety out of it, in the sense that we're stopping the presses for Britt Selby, really? Like 66, he comes into the league. I'm just saying, 70. It's like, he was not a superstar. I think he did win the Calder. I'm not sure.
I think he won a Calder. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there going, why would you stop the presses for that? I don't see any other really big changes or anything other than that. So interesting. And answer those questions to somebody who's asking you. And I get these questions all day long. A lot of them I can answer, but there's other ones I'm just going, who knows? I don't have a time machine, but I do have the Needham time machine. Yes.
Nice plug. You worked in there.
Well, that's the premise of my videos, is that we're taking the time machine back to talk about an old issue and go through the history and look behind each issue. So that's
well, you really need to take the time machine forward, figure out who wins the Stanley Cup. next year and then go back and bet $1 million.
Yeah, I would have said the Leafs for the last 20 years, but in the last 5, I'll say
Vegas.
Oh,
Okay, here's
Glenn asked me about the hat, and I'll just tell you, I'm a diehard Toronto Maple Leaf fan, always have been, always will be. I'm more of a vintage fan now, but I said I would not buy another piece of merchandise until they get past the second round. But I always did like this team when it came in and they made the Stanley Cup playoff. I thought it was really great, and I do like the logo, and it's a nice black hat. So, and I just said, okay, I'm not. And my other Leaf wore out, so I figured I'm not buying one until they get somewhere, because I'm tired of the hopes that it gets quashed every year. And I've been watching them since at least 67. So from the last Stanley Cup. So I want to see one more cup in my lifetime, at least.
Here's one of the weirder ones that somebody in a marketing boardroom thought, yeah, this is a good idea. Now, this is a Pepsi offer. They got in the game. This isn't the weird part. Fans could get a booklet with either Bobby Orr or Yvonne Cornwallis. The weird part, Bobby, is that they had to do something unusual to redeem the offer.
Well, this was one of the earliest. It's 1971 too. What they did under the caps, they would have a little plastic liner. So what they did is they asked 10 questions, and there was 20 answers, a right one or a wrong one. So they'd have one player like, who's the fastest skater in the league? And you'd say Bobby Hull, and I would say Gordie Howe. Well, one of those is wrong. So they did do 20. So if you sent in 25 of those liners, you could get one of those books, either the Cornwallis or the other. The thing is behind this, I don't know. Like, I'll have to tell you something else. Between 1970 and 1971, if you look through my folders, they're 10 times any other years. Any other time, the promotions were at full kilt at that time. There is more. There's Pepsi. There's Coke. There's you can keep going. But then you get to 74. You go, well, there was this and this and this. That's it. But 70 and 71, just amazing amount of never ending. And that was one of the ones that got kind of hidden because there were so many promotions. Coke had the posters for Bob Kelkowski. You had the O-Pee-Chee cards on top of this, plus all the other food issue that was going on. And I could ramble through it all. I just wanted to say that it was such a time like no other. And that's my perfect era of me being, 7, 8, prepubescent, because before puberty, you're into these things, and either you hit puberty and you get into girls or motorcycles or whatever you want to do, or you stay in the hobby. And some do a little bit of both, but mostly it's one or the other. So, and I was the one who stayed both a little bit. I did get the motorcycle. I did get, but
you had to drink an awful lot of Pepsi.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. Actually, for most of these promotions, you couldn't complete it. If you look at a lot of the cards back in the day, if you needed a set of 60 cards or 50 cards, and each product was a penny, a chocolate bar was 5 cents. You got 60 chocolate bars in how long of time? In the 20s. What do you get? Where do these kids get the money? And that's a lot of money back then. And then even if you get 60 chocolate bars, you probably got the same card doubles 5 or 6 times. So you got to get like 90 chocolate bars. Who's got 90 chocolate bars? Who the kid? Like, I was growing up, I got one every 2 or 3 days if you're lucky, if you had found a few pop bottles and cashed them in, but then it was a choice. Do I get the black balls? Do I get the bag of chips? Do I get the card packs? What? We didn't come from a poor family nor a rich family. It was just, you did what you could to get by. And that's what I think the kids are doing now, is they're really doing that with the cards, is they're kind of saying, hey, I can take this card and, utilize it. And, I'm smart. I'm following the team. I think this guy's going to do good next year. And maybe he, so they're doing those kind of things, hedging their bets on different things. So.
Yeah, it feels more playing the market these days as opposed to
gambling,
just collecting.
We'll talk about Gretzky and McDavid doing advertisements for gambling. Come on, gentlemen. Please. I'll just say that out loud. I don't care what anybody thinks.
Well, I don't live too far from the Wayne Gretzky winery and distillery. So.
Well, he must need the money, I guess, because, putting gambling in front of kids is not a good thing. I think it's another SO thing. There you go.
Yeah.
I just like to be forthright about that. I think gambling is it's everywhere around everybody, and it's not good for the kids. And kids can get in a hobby without thinking how much money is that card worth, rather than, oh, that's a cool picture of my star.
Well, even take a look at the sporting apps these days too. I mean,
I don't even look at them because
even-
I do,
take
but
a look at the. Well, I like to take a look at the box scores at the very least, and you know, you sometimes just have to go through the gambling ads to get there, and it's a pain. I'm certainly not a fan. So I do feel that there's a market for it, even though it's not something that I'm big into in any way, shape, or form. At the same time, it shouldn't be shoved down our throats, as with the way it feels.
yeah, I'm not against gambling either. I think there's nothing wrong with it, but you know, there comes a fine line that I think they've crossed it at that point.
Well, who would have ever imagined you'd be watching a hockey game and the score bug up in the corner would have the two teams, the game score, the shots on goal, and the over under?
Or the
Exactly.
parlay or whatever.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. You
So-
can still bet on the game. There's 30 seconds left. Quick.
That's right.
Yeah, just drop the puck. Let's finish this.
Who's going to win the face-off, though?
Exactly.
Anyways.
Well, that can't be rigged. So,
No.
so what are your newer research projects, Bobby? Is not bobby heads, but bobbleheads, or though maybe they should call it bobby heads. Tell me about these vintage original 6 bobbleheads. One of my questions about them is there were separate ones sold in the US and Canadian markets, and I'm not sure why.
It's kind of funny. I was just talking to Tim Hunter. He wrote the Bobble book in 1999, and he goes, I just introduced myself to him because I'm doing a little bit more research. This is one of the few things, like I have most of the research done on most hockey things, but when I go down a rabbit hole, I'm looking into the baseball and who started this, which was the company that really started it. Was Tex Coulter involved? How much was he involved? And that's where the Canadian and Americans separated at that point. So I think the bobbleheads, well, what Tim told me, he says, you know, if I would have seen your video, I would have never even done any research on the bobbleheads. I said, well, that's a compliment. I appreciate that. Because, you know, when we are collectors and we know a lot about things, we become experts, so to speak. You know, somebody only collects bottle caps. Well, he's going to know most of the bottle caps that are out there, or most of Tony Esposito collectors. You know, he knows every little thing that Tony Esposito issued, and, you know, they usually have a nice collection of those. So I'm just trying to dive into that a little bit deeper. And now I've uncovered that there is Tex Coulter was involved. Like Tex Coulter, you could do a movie on Tex Coulter. He's such a famous person, and the things he did. So he was responsible for the Canadian ones. They were different shape. They were more Canadian focused. There's a skate on the hockey, not just a painted line as there is on the left. Different sizes. Just such a better quality product too. On top of that, there was a lot thicker paper mache used on the Canadian ones. And we call them the high skates. The other one is, there is no skate. It's just called the regular bobblehead. And then they did the minis in the US. So the US market was different than the Canadian market completely on those.
Yeah, well, we'll buy any crap that's out there, Bobby.
Pretty much.
Okay, now here's another bobblehead question. Now, are my eyes deceiving me? This is taking a screenshot from your videos, but the Toronto Maple Leafs bobblehead looks like he's got a crest of a winged wheel, Detroit Red Wing logo on his chest. What is going on there?
Well, that is actually one of the variation. It isn't, there's enough made that it's not a rare variation. And if you were to collect it, I don't know if you'd want to even collect that, because it's more of, see, some things are rare variations and some things are errors. And because the New York Rangers and the bobbleheads, like you find a New York Ranger mini bobblehead, these are called the minis out of the United States. If you find a Ranger, it's about $2,000. Otherwise, these guys are about $150, $250, depending on the team. So that's the story behind those, is that, you know, it was just, and you can see they're a little lesser quality too. You can see the crazy eyes on the Leafs, and then you got this. You know what I think about the Ranger one and this, the one with the Detroit, the Toronto with the Detroit? I think they assumed that the Rangers were the Detroit. They do a stack of boxes, whatever. This is in Japan going on at this time. So I think they mistake the Rangers for the Detroit, and that's what happened with all of that. And they went, oh my gosh, we screwed up. So something must have happened early on, and I'm delving deep into that as we speak.
All right. Well, I'll expect a full report on my desk in the morning.
I already did the one video. Now it's going deep into the company history, and I'll talk about the baseball side of it because I found that information. I found the history of the company. I found who the manufacturer was. I found the artist. I found all that information. Now the bobblehead guys, they don't know that information because they collect what's in front of them. I collect what's behind everything, and that's where my specialty comes in, is knowing the backstory. The front story is easy. I got it all covered. The backstory is where I really want to learn and give that back to the the collectors.
Todd, are bobbleheads big with the site you run?
Bobble, I guess it depends on the year. More of the modern ones. I don't see a lot of the vintage bobbleheads. I'm not going to lie. I see more of the modern ones. 2002 was a huge year. 90. I think it was 97, the 25th anniversary of the Summit Series. They did a lot of bobbleheads for that. But there's Pacific.
I bought a lot of them.
I have a number of.
I have a few.
I have a number of them.
Well, me and my son were collecting them. We're going to the store saying, "Okay,
yeah,
$5. What was it? $5?"
But Pacific was a card company, and they I remember their heads up line where if you bought a box of cards, half the box was filled up by a bobblehead.
I like that promotion. I thought it was really well done.
And then they did some of their Upper Deck has done some. I don't think as nicely as some of those Pacific ones back in the day. But they're more affordably made, more plastic, and a bit more durable. Don't get me wrong. So there was mini bobbleheads and all sorts of stuff. So I guess it really depends. The older bobbleheads you don't see often unless it is. If I do see them, it's usually when I'm helping out a family due to a family member that's passed. More than anything, when sifting through the collection in the basement, type of thing.
They're quite fragile too, so
they can be, absolutely.
Yeah. So most of them end up broken, and they just throw them away after that usually.
Yeah,
it's the head that's broken. If it's
very hot, it's very. You can usually see the glue marks and the whatever the head being put back together kind of thing. The body usually stays intact, but yeah, the head is just. Some of those springs were pretty intense too. So you got one heck of a bobble out of it.
True.
So we are going to close this conversation with a couple of card questions. And I mean, there's something about the 1930s that you don't even need to be told what year it is. It's just, there's a real style to it. And Bobby, this is a 1930s OPC set. What do you like about it?
Well, I do like the wrapper. I love the design. I think it is there's two different types of wrappers. There's a wax wrapper and there's a glassine wrapper. I think this one is glassine. The survival rate of glassine, it's sort of like rice paper in a way, a little stronger, but I mean, it has that texture where wax wrapper is, wax and paper. So the survival rate on these are very, very difficult. It took me many, many years to find the first. We had determined the wrong series because one wrapper was missing, and it's a really tough one. And I'm saying, how did you get the game? How did you get the send away for the album? It's not anywhere. And then the wrapper finally showed up. So I love the search that went on with this one for the longest time. I do like the 4 different colors that they used. It was a very smart marketing issue. It's 1933, 34. There's 4 different companies that come in at the same time with hockey cards. Now everyone goes, "Oh, well, that was kind of convenient." I'm going, I think it was a printer. I think a salesman for a printing company must have went out and go, "Hey, your competition is printing hockey cards. You should do that." And then he would go and do that. The Canadian Chewing Gum, and then Worldwide Gum, and then all the other. It's all companies same time, same year. How does that work? And never before. So
there was a real rivalry. How did that all end up shaking out?
Well, O-Pee-Chee continued on. Most of the companies like Hamilton Gum never continued on. They did other non-sports things. Then you had Worldwide Gum. They waited about 4 years in between, and then they came back in it. And Canadian Chewing Gum was a one-time wonder. But they did do other non-sports cards. But I think O-Pee-Chee dominated the industry, very much so. And I think they just overran everybody else, and they just went, it's not worth it. Or maybe there might have been some licensing issues, but like there was not too much in licensing back there, especially for hockey. Baseball was a little different, but I don't think it was a real case of. It was a lot of time and effort investing into sports cards and the gum and the packing distribution. It just seemed like a lot. And when you're splitting it up between 4 companies, there wasn't a lot of profit in it, so you couldn't really go forward looking, going, well, maybe we'll do better next year. It's like, nah, we tried it, forget it. Let's move on. I'm assuming that's just presumptuous, but sounds about right.
As good a speculation as any.
Yes. Yeah.
Todd, any holy grail cards that you've been looking for and hope that one day you'll find?
That's a hard one to gauge. I think I've just kind of revamped the way that I collect these days now. So if something speaks to me, I grab it. Some more recent purchases I had was not too long ago. Got some 1966 Batman cards out of the blue. They are totally beaten up and whatever, but they exist. So that's pretty exciting. Collection that I got earlier this year. It was literally all 1930s stuff. So Worldwide Gum, baseball, only one O-Pee-Chee card from 37, 38, but then there was some Dick Tracy, Sea Raiders, aviation cards from 1929.
I love pirate cards.
Hollywood picture stars. So
Hamilton Chewing Gum,
Joe Crawford, yes. And Jean Harlow are in there, for example. So it just unique and eclectic items.
Who did they play for?
Hollywood.
Everybody.
It's funny. Opposed to hockey, my next thing I know most about is Canadian non-sports cards.
Okay.
So that is my second.
Yeah.
Thing.
So like the baseball cards, like of course, completely the Goody designed whatsoever, are completely, but they're all the made in Montreal, so they're the Worldwide Gum. So yes, it's pretty cool to.
Well, there's a lot of things that are documented incorrectly, and I fixed a lot of that United States stuff. Being the Canadian, they don't understand Canada in the same way.
It's true. I think they're starting to learn about the Canadian market now. And I think baseball cards is really the ones that it's really leading the way. And ironically, Star Wars cards, some of those resales on the O-Pee-Chee Star Wars is insane.
It's just went crazy lately.
But from the baseball perspective, tops printed, even in the mid 80s leading up to the incredible print runs of the early 90s. O-Pee-Chee just they had the same set, they had the same pictures, different backs and whatever else. They had the French and English on the back and slightly different color variations, but their print run was about 10% of what the tops was. So now everyone's realizing it's like, if I want a Barry Bonds rookie card, it's worth how much compared to the $10-15 that I can pick up the other one for. It's usually $100-$150 now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're 10% of their population, so we think the production is
so and the older it gets, the 1970s O-Pee-Chee stuff is
71 O-Pee-Chee baseball. Yes, they're very big.
Just the common cards are an easy $5-10 just to start, let alone actually having a star player or a Hall of Famer.
And they don't even have to be in nice shape.
I know.
And it's a black border around them, which is so, it's sort of like the Bobby Orr rookie year. It's got that border. It just wears so easily one little touch. A white border doesn't show so bad, but, something with color on it. Like Gretzky's, there's another one with the blue border, just,
Gotta love that card stock, huh?
I don't mind it so much. It was, you know
I
what?
don't mind the color, but it's so easy and so easy to chip and flake. And
It wasn't. It wasn't really. I don't think. I think. I explained this before. I think Beckett had wrote in '93 saying that O-Pee-Chee cut their cards with a wire, and I went, "What?" Out of all the O-Pee-Chee employees I spoke to, the presidents, whatever, I said, "Where did you get this wire thing? Where did this come from?" And it's amazing how it makes it through the hobby. And everyone goes, "Oh, that's why it's a rough cut, because the wire had to put." I said, "The PSI on that, you wouldn't even want to be 20 feet close to that if it ever went off, because it would probably be 500."
oh yeah,
PSI would
that's
just
liability for sure.
so it was a lark, better said. But what they had is they had rollers. They were sort of a V-shaped roller, and they would push on the cards. Unfortunately, if those rollers weren't sharpened, and Gary Carina admitted that to me, who was the owner of OPG, last owner. He said that, we were just poor maintenance. We really didn't, the quality control wasn't really up to snuff, because they're running 24/7 when the Beatles come in. You got 24/7 when 79 O-Pee-Chee comes in with Gretzky's rookie coming. Star Wars, same thing. But it was a little bit better later, but earlier on. And that's what happened. So it ended up tearing the cards, opposed to cutting through, because sharp knife, cut a loaf of bread with a dull knife, like you're going to end up with a little and where the other ones, that's why Tops were so nice. But Tops
where did the cement mixer come in?
That was Parker's in their first 1 to 3 years, 51, 52, and 53. George Kennedy owned Parker's. He wanted to mix up the cards, because they used a guillotine, so they would get the cards and they'd cut them all, and they'd be like 50 Richards, 50, so along the way. So they would throw them in the cement mixer. A lady would go through them and take them out and make sure that there was no really damaged cards. And that's what he went and bought that for $100 back in 51. So that's how they mixed the cards up, and they ended up in the packs. So
that's actually a story I don't think I've heard before. So that's fantastic.
I got a lot of them, brother. I got so many. And a lot of them are in my videos. Like I did the history of Parker's. That's 5 parts at how many minutes each? I don't even remember. I think it's like 16, 18 minutes each. So I go in through every little part of Parker's, and that's where the research is that stimulates me. I no longer collect sort of tangible items. I collect information, and that's more stimulating to me today than getting any card or any piece of merchandise. Almost anything. Just saying. I love that part of the hobby, and it keeps me busy and happy within it. Just researching that part and helping other people see things, and it controls the marketplace, which really, because the right information out there needs to be out there. And if I sacrifice my time, because I don't make any money, I'll never make any money from this. I never made any money from my books, because if it worked out, it's a penny an hour. It's about the hobby, and it's about enjoying it, and it's about contributing. And some people are just the sucker. I mean, the person who wanted to get into it and just went through the osmosis and the trickle flow flood of just getting more information and just being in the hobby and being a collector and being exposed to all these different things. So it was.
Yeah, you have to have the passion. I agree.
Yeah, it is. It is
what I do if I didn't have the passion for it. So I agree.
No, because then it's a job.
It's true.
And I had a job that didn't pay. So there.
No. Well, I get paid to write a report. It's learning about the items in the collection. That's what's interesting. The report part, that's what I get paid for, but that's the least interesting part about the whole thing.
True. It's actually looking through the collections, that's got to be fun in itself. I've looked through a lot of friends' collections, and we got some big stuff here, but I'm just saying it's the fun part of seeing the stuff you haven't seen, the stuff that makes me go, oh, that doesn't happen often. It used to happen a lot more, but I long for those days of getting the aha moment, just like, wow, I've never seen one of those. I didn't even know it existed. Those are the thrills for me.
Okay, 2 more. One, we're going to show now in the category of these are hockey cards, but they don't look like hockey cards. Bobby, what are we looking at here?
Those are the 39, 40, and 40-41 O-Pee-Chee hockey cards. Now, these were, the last year of O-Pee-Chee was 37, 38, and these came in 39, 40, and 40-41, because every year is hyphenated in hockey. So What had happened? All these pictures were taken at
Yes, Sil Apps, I think.
Sil App's wedding. Yeah, he's right there. Sorry, I can't see it. It's small. So these cards were issued at 1 cent per. I don't know if there was gum involved, but they were 1 cent, and you couldn't see the card. It was obscured. You could see a little bit of the top half, and on the back it instructs, because we have found one display for these. And the back it says, don't show the cards, don't let them pick through, don't let the kids pick through them, let them take the next card. Because my grandfather, when he passed away, he had 40 of these cards, and he had 3 of some and 2 of a lot of others. And I'm going, he would never get the same guy 3 times. Why would he do that? So that would make me assume, this is great, because it said that it had to be random. It had to be random. That's firsthand information. I can't get any better. Someone told me that story. I go, yeah, okay, whatever.
But it was why weren't they hockey playing pictures?
None of them were playing pictures. Like those ones you picked out there are the wedding pictures, but there were the hockey scenes, sure. Yeah. But they were just, static photos for the most part, or just bust shots of the players. So it was a different way. I don't know what was going on. I sometimes think maybe the war rationing with gum, it's not the war yet, but it's kind of coming close. Something's going on there. Sugar prices surging. I know there's a time in the 60s that happened. That's a good historical question that can't really be answered at this time. So, and I've looked into it. There's very little written about, if you search gum back from 1910s to all the newspapers to the 50s, you'll find 1 or 2 advertisements from a gum company, like for cards or anything like that. Otherwise, no, it's just Wrigley's, it's just this, it's just that. Buy the Wrigley's, happy, smile, move on. And there's nothing card related that's in there, so it doesn't give you a lot of context for that kind of research. But that's what they were, and they were 5x7 cards. Like, very unusual step to take. Not sure why. I can speculate a few things, but
I wouldn't want to put those in the spokes of my bicycle, would somehow seem disrespectful.
Yeah, it might make the sound of an airplane, though. You never know. Yeah.
All right, so we'll close with the hockey card mystery that, like with this other one, maybe doesn't have an answer. What was the very, very first hockey card? Now, in the middle is Honus Wagner. I really don't think he was questioning in his pose there which of these was the oldest hockey card. I think he was reminding himself not to go to the movies because it would hurt his eyesight and it would hurt his batting average. But there is a story behind which of these two is the oldest hockey card. Will you please tell us what you know, Bobby?
Yeah, when I wrote this article, or when I did this video, Honus Wagner was sort of who's the Honus Wagner between the short prints? These are 2 short prints from the 1920s. You have the Sprague Cleghorn and you have the Bert Corbeau. Now there's, I don't know, maybe a couple dozen Bert Corbeaus out there, but it's always been Bert Corbeau but nobody talks about Sprague Cleghorn, and there's only 2 Sprague Cleghorns. So when something comes to market many times over, it can be, as Todd would, it'd be easier to document the price. But when you have one that only has 2, and who's the star here? And I really go through their playing history, and Sprague Cleghorn wasn't a nice guy, but he ended up in the Hall of Fame. Bert Corbeau, very nice guy, died in a tragic accident, but he didn't make the Hall of Fame.
We're looking at Cleghorn, and when you say he wasn't a very nice guy, or you are being very kind.
Well, I could say a lot worse things. So they made the what was it? You know what I'm going to say. They made the what was her name?
Lady Byng.
Yeah, Lady Byng herself donated the trophy because of Sprague Cleghorn, because of his wild play. She wanted more sportsmanship because she was an avid hockey fan. So through him came the Lady Byng trophy.
And here's Mr. Corbeau. who was a nice guy but is not in the Hall of Fame, one has to wonder if there's a correlation between being a nice guy and not being as good a hockey player.
He was a tough guy. Like, he was well respected and very tough, but just he was not a bad boy as Sprague Claycorn was. And then we talk about values of cards, like how famous are they? It's Dave Schultz was a great player. He was a good player, very good player, but he was known for fighting. So, but his card holds weight than somebody else who fought, Kenny Linsman. I don't know. You could just say anybody, but just, comparatively speaking, it displays the weight and value of the cards to being because he's famous for this, or he was a big rough, rebel rouser, whatever. And that really determines a lot of values with cards too, and driving desire. People love watching those fights, like the Don Cherry fights and all those things. Those are great, and people, that's why they like guys like Dave Schultz and what have you. So
I've even found in my side of things, you find out pretty quickly goal scorers are very popular. You can have the equivalent of right now Matthew Schaefer is after his incredible rookie season, his cards are doing very well. But if you look at past history of the top rookie cards, if it's usually the best players, a defenseman, they're never going to hold the same weight as a goal scorer, or a goaltender for that matter. So goalies, enforcers, and goal scorers have always been the big three when it comes to getting the top value. It just seems to be the way.
Yeah, actually, a lot of defensemen never make the Hall of Fame.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
And these days you have to be a high-scoring defenseman.
Yes, you would.
Very often. You're not going to have a lot of Rod Langways, for example. The Reborgs. I remember when people were in the floor when he got in, but you actually took a look at what he did and what he accomplished, and he is a very deserving member of the Hall of Fame. And you can see some of these other point getters that were very good players on some very good teams, but they were, top 20 in the league or top 30 in the league in terms of points, as opposed to the top 5. And especially at different eras and stuff, you see that, especially the 80s going into the 90s before the dead puck era kind of thing. And you just see some of these guys that have gotten in. It's just like, well, okay, yeah, they've accomplished things due to the length of their career, not because they were the best players in the league. So there's always that play on Hall of Famers for sure.
Sure. And Bert Corbeau never made it. He was a defenseman, but he was a stalwart, tough guy. He was a great player. He just won't get the nod. And the Hall of Fame is a different kind of place. You got to be the goal scorer. You got to be all those things you're saying, Todd. It's otherwise you're just kind of, hey, he's a great defenseman. Yeah.
Thank you. Good job.
Bobby, are there any other props that you brought that you wanted to show that we didn't get to?
I got about 100. No, just a few. Okay. I'll be selective here. So here is this is from 1920. This is a strip card. So back in the day, a retailer would give you, I've mounted it in this to protect it. So what they did is it was a multi-sport set. There is hockey. It's right there. I think there we go.
Yeah.
There is one hockey card. It does say hockey underneath. So these were issued to stores. And a lot of times it was related to the custodial part of the store where he would just sit there and go, okay, if you want, buy that, I'll tear you off one of these. Mm-hmm. So the strip cards weren't sold in necessarily strips. They were sold as they were torn off and given to kids as a promo kind of thing. So it was, that's 1920, pretty early. It's very, not the prettiest, but Jefferson Burdick, who documented our card hobby, he allocated the W542 for these. So it does have a so-called Burdick proclamation, which is good. What else do I have? This is kind of neat. It's the original envelope, and it's the 1982-83 New Jersey team, the photo set. So here you are into, real-time collectibles, and this is their first year, obviously. So it's just kind of neat to have, you know, as it came to somebody in 1982, 83. Although it's not that old in the grand scheme of things, it's still fun. This is actually a pretty rare thing. These were not bobbleheads. These were dolls. They're about 24 inches tall, and you blow them up. They were inflatable, and they made them up every team, and they're very difficult to find unopened. And even if they were open and blown up, they would just deflate or get damaged. So finding one that has never been used is a really tough thing to do. You know, magnet boards with the different magnets. So kids would buy these, and then they could put their team that they wanted. They could take it off, and then they can move the up and down the roster of where they stand positionally. So this was great for kids. It kept them involved in hockey afterwards. So they would, you know, have an easel on the back. They could sit them on a desk, like yours has the easel. You know, you can display it nicely, and then they could move it around as every game went by, and then they can see the pole positioning of where they are. So, like I said, I have so many other things here, but why don't we leave it at that? There's too many things to choose.
That's great. That's great. I know. I think that magnets would be a great idea. I'd like to have that today. I think that would still be a great idea.
They do have them now. They do. They have recreated them in a certain way. So yes, but you know, you have a lot of teams now, so the magnet board has to be a certain size, and the magnets have to be a certain size too. So yeah, back then you have, you know, 14, 12 teams, 16 teams. I did a video on those too, of all the different baseball magnets, how they started, where they started, what company did them. So I've done that complete history on the football. No, not the football yet. I did the hockey, basketball, and baseball. So it's great, and those are American products. You get it from. All right, hockey.
So Bobby, why don't we have you tell us if there's anything you want to plug, or your website, or your YouTube channel, or Needham's. Where can people go to find out more about what you're about?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can search Bobby Burrell. I do have a group there. It's called the VHC Vintage Hockey. It was collector, but I went to Curator when I went to the video part of it. So there's no cards allowed in that, but it's all memorabilia. It's all food issue. No cards allowed to be posted. I have 2,500 members. It just tells you the interest level is still there. If it was hockey cards, it would just be, you know, 50,000 members. But I'm saying there is a strong presence for people who do not collect just cards, as everybody who is into cards only thinks of cards and nothing else. Everything else is kind of junk around them, where the junk around them is my pleasure, and the cards are kind of passe for me, you know, at that point. So you can find me on there, Bobby Burrell, Instagram as well, Bobby Burrell at BC. I do have the YouTube channel. It's Bobby Burrell VHC. It's getting boring here. And you can check out all my videos. I just started doing them about 9 months ago, so I've gotten pretty good at making them and what have you. And I'm just going to keep putting them out there. I've built up a nice repertoire. It's not about the likes. It's not about the views. I'll never make any money from that. I'll never get enough people viewing. But as long as we're anchoring the truth out there, for, you know, even to help people like Todd, just to say, hey, find out a little bit more about what are those? What's a video? Try to look up glitter. Try to find it. You can't find it anywhere, but you find it on my videos, and you find exactly, and you go, oh, hey, that is rare. Okay, let's look into that, and let's look through Worth Point. You'll find two. It's like, you know, so you have to be in the game to really know a lot of those things, and that's where you'll find a lot of information, a lot of future information coming to you from me, from my my channel, my video channel.
And Todd, Holy Collectibles, Sawatsky, not your Batman collection, the personal property appraiser, specializing in sports memorabilia and pop culture. Where can people find you?
Facebook, Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel as well. So at Todd Sawatsky Appraisals. And I have my website as well. So you can find my contact information if you want to email me, message me. and so forth. So it's just like what Bobby's doing. It's a passion, and I like to help people get their stuff appraised, because many people want to appraise their collections for insurance purposes and so forth. So that's where I can assist. So.
No, that's great. And it's kind of funny, Glenn, that you did mention that, Todd and I really never met each other, which is very surprising considering the amount of information I have and the things that he does. It's so parallel, but it's like ships passing in the night. Just kind of went, hey, how long have you been going to the expo? Since 95. And
for myself since 2008. So
that's still how many years, right? So
exactly,
it's still 10 years. And just to not hit, because I've met so many different people in the hobby. It's and there is people such as Todd that are out there that you go, oh, I didn't know you were out there. Okay, great. Yep. So at least I know. I do know a couple other appraisers, but I'm just saying. Now I have,
as do I. But,
well, you should.
There's not a lot of them out there.
It's competition. It is, and it's very
competition's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah. It's really good. But everybody wants to land the deal. I was in corporate coffee sales for quite a few years, so. You wish the best for your, but you want the person to get the quality of service, and that's really important, because there's a lot of people who guess at too many things, and as long as you're doing your good homework, and I think you'd be the right person to go to. That's what you really want to give to your people. It's not about just getting a historian or buying the right book or choosing the right person to look at your collection. It's making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, and it sounds like Todd is.
Well, thank you both very, very much for giving us some insight into this fascinating hobby and sharing some of your knowledge and stories with us. We very, very much appreciate it.
Oh, it was fun. I love watching the show. I really do. So.
And thank you for the invite, Glenn. And it's been a pleasure, Bobby. I know I've learned a lot just on just during this discussion. So I know I'll be finding those videos shortly.
It's all about learning something, and I'm always learning something from everybody. It's not like I know everything. I actually learn from a lot of people. I'm sort of the hobby sponge. I just take little pieces here and here, and I wring it out in videos. That's it.
And I'm Glenn Dreyfus. I'm not going to tell anybody where to find me because I might owe you money. But we thank you for watching Hockey Time Machine.